Before the start of this video, I would like to thank the following people. Jory Karen of Is It a Good Idea to Microwave This? That is a very ancient name out here in the internet world, but to those who know, whenever I was a tiny little kid, Jory was one of the people that I followed out there on the internet. And I got to watch him from start to finish, passively working on rebuilding a house that he happened to get a hold of and making something into, or making nothing into something. You inspired me as a kid to believe that I could do anything I set my mind to. So thank you. I would also like to thank Our Life in Trees. I only recently discovered you in my research of mini excavators, but your casualness and the fact that your environment seems to be very similar to my own makes me feel very confident that what I'm planning to do is not only possible, but probable. So thank you. I would also like to thank Mike Festiva. You too have come up in my research, so I genuinely appreciate your candor and your informativeness, both in terms of welding as well as excavators. So thank you. And lastly, I would like to thank my wife. Boy, ever. If there ever was a sunny side of hell or heaven, it would be you. You light a fire in me that I never knew I had, and push me to do things I never thought I could. So thank you, and I love you. Alrighty, enough of the random pleasantries. On to the video. Hello. If you're watching this, then I decided to record the insanity that is my life. Oh boy. We've done it now. Hello everyone. My name's Nick, but everybody calls me Angel. I was born and raised in a little town called Saluda in the state of South Carolina. And I am tired. Very tired. At the time of this recording, it is February of 2026. I am 28 years old. I am married as of 1 year. And I still am living with my parents. I know, it's a deplorable stigma for the common American household. But in today's day, I think a fair amount of people can understand why. A little bit of background about me. I went to college after getting my GED And even with my college credentials, I have always struggled for any kind of financial security. Not because I don't save, but because, well, life doesn't always work out the way you want it. I'm broke. Morbidly broke. It's been hard for me to keep a hold of finances whenever I've been so desperate for assets. Why have I been desperate for assets, you might ask? Well, I want a house of my own, actually my own. I know that we live in the time where renters and landlords and all that jazz are everywhere, but the fact is that even if I wanted to, I couldn't afford to rent. Not feasibly, anyway, with all the things that I do. I'm multi-talented, I guess. More so out of necessity than desire. By trade, I'm a tech guy. My family actually used to run a computer and internet business back in the days of dial-up. I've been working on computers since I was a kid. Through that is how I met my wife, by getting involved in the video game world, and more specifically VR. That's always been my thing. I've enjoyed computers and the like. But whenever it came to getting a career in it, because of where I live and the fact that I didn't really know anybody in the industry, as a recluse and, well, frankly, somebody who has never had the best track record with other people, because I'm weird. I've never been able to get my foot in the door. And even if I could, the nearest institution where I could work with my degrees and certifications, I'd be driving well over 100 miles a day. And my financial situation is just not feasible. Especially not for my mental health. So I've bounced jobs. I've been trying to find anything that I could feasibly tolerate in terms of a job that takes care of me, you know. I've done it all. I've done everything from stock work at a grocery store, a warehouse. Hell, I even worked in a plywood plant for a while. Was a sales manager for Advanced Auto Parts for many years, and well, most recently, a pest control guy now. It's been rough. So far, this pest control gig's been pretty nice. I'm probably going to stick with it for a long time, but my biggest thing is I've got enough to get by, but I need more, especially now that I'm married. Last year, I got married to my girlfriend of 5.5 years. She's an immigrant. She's from Canada. She moved here to the United States to be with me. We met through some friends of a friend in VR, and we headed off, and she is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me in my life. Before I asked her to marry me, I pulled her dad aside and I said, I don't have much. I know I'm not a lot. Or hell or high water, I was going to carve out an existence for the both of us. And it's been hard. Even harder after my dad, who I've been living in with my family home for so long, was unable to continue his job due to an injury. And since then, I have been the only person keeping up a household of 6. It is rough. This happened right in the middle of what I'm about to show you now. In approximately May of last year, me and my wife happened to have a gift fall into our lap. We were given the opportunity to buy a piece of land that we could try and start our future on. It's nothing much, and it was completely covered in trees. But it was something, and it was ours. Well, I started devising plans on how we can make this happen. And lo and behold, another friend of mine from Pennsylvania, who's been a dear and wonderful friend, has decided he also wants to get out of a similar situation to what we're in, so we wanted to be roommates. We wanted to start something new for ourselves as a group. We've been friends for going on a decade at this point, and we understand each other very well. So this has been it. This is what we want to do. We want to start our lives together on my property. Well, the bit that I mentioned about my dad has put a major hamper on things. My finances are completely and utterly screwed. Because, well, if it's a choice between starving today or making progress on a homestead, I'd rather, try and keep the home, my house that I'm in currently, alive for as long as possible until we can get something going. So that's where I'm at. We had paid a gentleman to come out here and clear our property, and he never returned after completing the job only part way. The reason why we paid this gentleman is because he has tools that I simply don't. He had an excavator, which is something that I needed. A little bit more background about me. The multi-talented bit comes from my family. I've got a lot of different people that were in my life that taught me many different tools and trades. Mostly in passing. I'll be honest, whenever your grandfather's sitting there teaching you how to turn a wrench, you're like, that's nice, Grandpa. In this case, my papa. Well, I'm certainly wishing I had paid a little bit more attention because they're all gone now. I had... Give me a moment. My uncle, who was the landscaper of my family, has since passed. He had all kinds of equipment, and he showed me all the time whenever I was a kid how to use them, and I picked it up in passing, but I'd never actually done it myself. He told me one day that if I ever needed his services to give him a call. Well, that time has come a little bit too late. So, my options are none. Or should I say, the only options I have to do what I need to be done is either A, I hire somebody to come out. Oh, sorry, there's three. I'm sorry, I'm terrible at counting. I have three options. Either A, I hire somebody to come out here and do the job. Well, I tried that, and it didn't quite work out. Option B is I rent some equipment, and I come out here and do what needs to be done myself. Well, I have a bit of a problem with that, and I'll get to that in a minute. Or option C, I buy the equipment, I do it myself, I keep the equipment. So, how we were talking, or how I was talking about landlords and stuff like that, I have a bit of a personal problem with doing things that are at a cost. In the sense of, I don't like asking friends or people I may know for help. In the sense of like, hey buddy, do you have an excavator? Can I borrow your services? I can pay you with a stack of pizzas and a couple beers. I don't like asking for favors. And, well, I don't exactly have money in the first place. So, here's the plan. And it's nuts. It's completely and utterly bonkers. But I'm going to do it all myself, and I'm wanting to own as much as I possibly can. House included by the end of it. And I'm going to do it myself. Start to finish, I'm going to do all of it myself. Because if I can't hire somebody to do the job completely and affordably in my budget range, or hell, if I can't afford to buy a little double wide to drop out here, then I'll make it work. I'm about that far from being dirt floor poor. I'm just a little bit above that, but I'm going to try and make something out of nothing, and that's why I'm recording this video. It could be something entertaining for you guys with my brand of humor, or it could just simply be a diary of my insanity. I don't know, but I think we can find out together. So here is the plan. I have the land. I own the land. It's mine. It's not going anywhere, and the taxes are pretty nice. But in terms of what I'm wanting to do here, I've been tossing around ideas, staring at different websites, watching hundreds of YouTube videos on what people did. I've considered container houses. I've considered considered bungalows. And a goddamn guillotine. I've considered all my options, and ironically, the most cost-effective idea that I've had to date is doing the exact same thing that my grandfather did. So, to anybody who's from South Carolina, my grandfather was one of the foremans for the Savannah River plant, if you know what that is. He was one of the construction leads, and he built the place. He built the house that I'm currently living in now out of excess materials, just random scraps and pieces of things that were left over from the job sites. He'd bring them home, and he built the house that I'm in, brick by brick, literally, block by block, until it was finished. It's withheld so many lives. It's kept them safe, it's kept them protected, and it's literally built as thick as a bunker. I'm not kidding whenever I say that if a tornado blew through here in 30 minutes, the walls would still be standing. The only thing we would have lost is the roof. So I'm thinking about doing the same thing. As just a simple concrete pad foundation, cinder blocks, mortar, rebar, and a brick outside. That's the idea. And I think I've got a way on doing it. I might be crazy, but we might discuss that in a future video. With that in mind, let's go ahead and tour and see what we're working with here. Just one moment. I'm not as young as I used to be. Okay. So, here is my little driveway. As you can see, the gentleman that we hired, he put some decent track marks in it, and this, I think there's a culvert down here. I'll be honest, I haven't got a clue. All of this was carved out. It's about 2 acres, 1.87, something like that, but we'll call it 2. And it's nice. It's on a hill. The only problems that we're dealing with is one, the trees. My God, the trees. This entire place is overgrown with these twigs that you see piled up here. They're hardy little bastards, because the guy in the 7.5-ton excavator who drove up in here, he apparently blew his windshield out whenever one of these flung back and blew out the glass. And after that, he packed up and said he had other jobs, and I ain't heard from him since. But it's nice. It goes right up against a neighbor's property, which is nothing but a grass field, so it's pretty isolated. These trees, some of it is good wood. I've got a guy coming out tomorrow to tell me if any of it's worth setting up a mobile sawmill so he can process it and may or may not turn some of this into wood that I can use. It's pretty though. That's one of the nice things about it. It's got some really tall pines though. Some of these are pretty thick. I'd say it's about 6 inches, 7, 8. I don't know. Like I said, I'm a tech guy, but I've learned how to do pretty much anything I need to do whenever I set my mind to it. Yeah. This has been sitting since August of last year, 2025. At time of recording, it is February of 2026. There's a pond. This little pond, I actually used to play in whenever I was a kid. Or by play in, meaning I'd go near the water and then I'd get told to get the hell out of there. My plan is to convert this into a koi pond. So one of the talents that I picked up is actually aquaculture. I used to build, or I was the head of maintenance for a company down in Florida whenever I was down there for a little bit. And I used to build koi fish ponds. Or in my case, I was the guy that was maintaining them, keeping them looking pretty for the rich folk all up and down Central Florida. But I built a couple myself, so I know how to do that. It's just the equipment I lack. Obviously, to those who have a trained eye, this whole place is like a giant rounded hill. It's almost like a giant boob, which is good for drainage, but it's not so good to really drop a house on, especially whenever you've got really soft clay that has a really high field capacity and is holding water like nobody's business. When it dries out, it's pretty good, but the fact is that I'm gonna need like either a French drain or a grid system to make this workable, where whatever house I decide to put up here isn't gonna sink. So, with that in mind, right up in here in this clearing area where he actually left off is where I'm planning to drop my house. Probably like big square up in here. Well, I've got some ideas on how I can make that happen. He was popping, I'm pretty sure you noticed in the pile, he was popping a lot of the stumps out of the ground. Well, back there where he blew out his windshield, he was also in the process of popping these out, and he just left them. So I've got some about foot-sized stumps to pop out of here. It's gonna be a bit of work, but it's doable. If nothing else, that guy, he cleared enough of a way so I can finish it up myself. So, why do I have to do this myself? Well, most of my family is either, frankly, too old, or they're gone, in one way or the other. I don't have very many friends, and the ones that I do, they have their own lives. The person who's helping me with this whole thing is in Philadelphia. Well, not Philadelphia. He's in Pennsylvania, and well, if you're in Pennsylvania and I'm in South Carolina, that doesn't exactly make for a weekend project time. So, we have to work with what we have. And that means whenever he is in the area, he can help, but for the most part, I'm on my own. So, here's the plan. I'm buying an excavator. Now, yeah, I know how the hell can you afford an excavator if you are drop dead broke. Well, I've been doing some budgeting, and if I am very smart about it, and I can save up a little bit, then I should be able to afford one of those 1.2 to 1.8 ton mini Chinese excavators. I know, I've seen the horror stories, but beggars can't be choosers. And from everything I've seen, I think that with my tooling knowledge and hydraulic knowledge that I've picked up over the years, I should be able to get a hold of one of those, give it a once-over over the entire inside of the thing, and then get it working. Now, would I like a Ripa R15 to come up in here and put a little whoop-ass down? Absolutely. Do I have the $12,000 minimum to get one of those? Hell no. So, we're going to work with what we got, because there ain't no way a bucket and a shovel is going to do all this. Not unless I want to be in my house by the time I'm 40, which, hell, I'm already pushing 30 as it is. So, with that in mind, I need some equipment. And with all these roots, I need something that's got a little bit of whoop-ass. So, plan for these trees, I've got a chainsaw. I'm not a chainsaw guy. I'm not a lumberjack by any stretch of the means, but I do got some ratchet straps. And the idea I'm thinking to be as safe as possible is to throw a ratchet strap like around the base up there, wrap it around a couple of those trees, and then fell them one at a time very safely in a controlled direction. Get some of these out of here and then come in with an excavator and pop the rest of these stumps out the ground. Now, I know by no stretch of the means is a little 1.5, 2 ton excavator going to be able to just pull these out the ground, especially as big as they are. But what I'm thinking is if I go in with like a ripper tooth and then just like carve around this, slow as hell, pop the root ball, and then I should be able to pluck it out the ground. It won't be efficient. And if it comes down to it, you know, I can dig up some of this around here and then go in with the chainsaw and pop the larger roots that way. Again, it ain't efficient, but efficient is not something that we have an option for here. We are working on not a small budget, we are working on no budget, and we need to work with what we got. So, yeah, that's the plan. Get the Mini X, get up in here, and then get these stumps out of here. And after that, I'm going to use the blade on it and grade this entire thing. Every single day after work, do at least 30 to 40 square feet a day until it is entirely leveled off. My plan, because you see it's like this little rounded boob, I'm wanting to take off a good, say, 3 to 5 inches off the entire upside here, and then just start displacing it all across, or hell, maybe even just flatten the whole thing, plateau it. Once the whole thing gets flattened out, then get the whole thing graded, dig some trenches, put in a drain system, either like 3 or 4 French drains or a grid system, which I've only seen in passing and I know very little about, and try and turn this into something that is habitable. I mean, more so than a tent and some sticks, because this is what I got. This is my great-grandmother's land that was sold to me, and, well, I'm going to try and make something out of it. So yeah, it's a bit camera shy, and I'm not exactly the greatest at talking, especially whenever I'm alone, but with that in mind, I think I got something here. It ain't much, but we're gonna make some honest work out of it. I've already taken my chainsaw and tried carving some of the brush that way that connects my property to the next property over, so I could get a more stable path in and out of here so I'm not tearing up the ground. But I quickly realized that I needed help in that regard, and that's whenever I brought that guy in here. But I think I need more, and we're gonna make more. Hell or high water, I'm gonna make it happen. And if you're watching this, I'd like you to come along with me on this journey of making something out of nothing. And if I'm right, if my calculations are correct, and it might be a calculated maneuver, and man am I bad at math, but if I'm right, we should be able to build a 2-story house out of cinder block, rebar, some railroad ties, and some bricks for right around $38,000 US. And that's in 2026. I think it's doable. I think. Because if I can hit that mark, and this is not counting hookup fees or builder's permits or anything like that. This is just baseline price for the house. I think I can hit right around that mark. And if I can, hopefully I can give a little bit of hope to the other people like me who are not rich by any stretch of the means and have just been flying by the seat of their pants as long as I have. With that in mind, my name's Angel, and we're going to make this happen. Here in my community, we say Ave. It is the Latin word for hail. Praise the sun. Praise Lady Gaia. I'm going to make this happen. Ave, my friends. See you soon.